Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fearless and Fabulous podcast. This is the space where we tell stories of women who thrive no matter their age or size. I am your host and creator, Melanie Robinson, and I am excited to have a woman on here who I had the pleasure of meeting while we were judging a pageant. Goodness, a couple months back now. I want you all to meet Abigail Hedger. She is Elegant Miss of America 2025. Say hi, Abby.
Hi, everyone.
I am so glad that you could be on the show here. And if you just want to give everybody just a little introduction of what makes you you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. I'm 22 years old. I've been competing in pageants for 19 years. I'm currently the Elegant Miss of America, like Melanie mentioned. I just started judging pageants probably 5 or 6 years ago professionally, but I've always kind of had my foot in the water with like either judging occasionally or just not really coaching, but giving advice. I don't For some reason, I'm a little weird about monetizing coaching. I grew up not really being able to afford it, so I like to give back for free, which is why I enjoy judging because that feedback is really, really helpful for young women. So yeah, I've been in the game for a long time. I just came back to pageantry. I have one son. He is 8 months old. His name is Aurelius. And I just moved back to my hometown of Covington, Virginia. So that's where I'm at right now.
We're
Yeah.
both a couple of Virginia queens here.
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Well, you mentioned you've been in pageantry for, you said 19 out of your 22 years.
Yes, 19 years.
Oh my goodness. So let's start there to begin with. What kind of changes have you seen in pageantry since you've been in it?
I think the biggest change for me was after COVID. Honestly, I mean, the trends and everything got so much sparklier. I don't know, like, I feel like everything now is very beaded. I saw a lot of people making commentary on the Miss Universe gowns because that's happening
Mhm.
this week. Everything's beaded. I don't know if I love or hate that. I love sparkles, but that's something I've definitely noticed. There are a lot more custom. A lot of
Mhm.
people are getting stuff done like out of the country in the Philippines and stuff like that. I think it's awesome. Um, Gosh, we used to have like schoolwear. Now everything's fun fashion. So that's a big change. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the cupcake dresses, those are phasing out a little bit. Those used to be the thing back in the day, and I
Mhm.
feel like the younger girls are in those full-length ball gowns, and I don't know how they do it, honestly, but and then grow out of it in a week, unfortunately, with the growth
Yeah,
spurts. But
that's
yeah.
the thing. So, since you started pageants really young, I know sometimes some parents, some people, they don't think very highly of that, of
Oh
little
yeah.
kids being in pageants. So, what's your take on that? And what did you learn from being in pageants at such a young age?
I definitely think pageants are the reason I am the way I am today. I had a really rough childhood, honestly. CPS was in and out of our home. We were on, EBT, SNAP benefits, stuff like that most of my life. And other girls would be able to do pageants consistently, and I would have to save up for a year just to do one, but it gave me something to work towards all the time. It
Mm.
taught me self-care. I want to appear beautiful. I want to take care of myself. I want to groom myself. I want to eat healthy. I want to appear healthy. I don't need to be stick thin, but I also want to put the best version of myself forward. So learning that at a young age really, really helped me through all the struggles I went through. I've never had a job interview I haven't gotten, and that is
Yeah.
thankful to pageantry. Yeah, I mean, I started interviewing, I think around 9 years old is when we started doing it in my system. So just being able to speak and being able to really pour into yourself are the two
Mhm.
biggest takeaways I had in pageantry. My sister tried it. She didn't like it. So I think there's a difference in the child choosing pageantry and choosing
Yeah.
pageantry for your child. I think that's the biggest difference because the competitiveness, if your child doesn't want to do it with anything, like some girls compare themselves a lot. I never did that. I always went in thinking I was gonna win. Even when I didn't. I lost 11 years in a row before I won my first pageant. So, but it
Wow.
never deterred me, and I still had a great time. And it never had like some people had, eating disorder issues because of pageantry. I never experienced that, thankfully. But I can understand why people would be apprehensive to put their children in it. I think it just
Mhm.
depends on the person. For me, the pageant bug bit me, and I never stopped.
I think you made a really good point because I have seen where clearly the parent wants it more for the
Oh
kid.
gosh, yeah. Especially as a judge, you can tell. You
Yeah.
can tell mom filled out that paperwork.
And
Yeah.
mom's the one who's like, get like you gotta stand like this, you gotta talk like
You know
this and
what?
all these
There's so
things.
many adult pageants. Like, why doesn't the mom just That's how I feel. Like, if you want it more than your daughter, why don't you just sign up for yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to
Of
me. I mean, it's not just pageants, but I mean, you see parents pushing their
course.
kids into
Yeah.
sports, being, very strict about them, working on their instruments, things like
Mhm.
that. And I like to, one of the things I talk about on the show is that it's never too late to start anything. So
Oh
if you
yeah.
have a desire within you, by all means, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, with your pageant journey, you mentioned you lost 11 times before you won a title. So, how did you keep that resilience to keep on going?
Every time I've lost a pageant, even to this day, I've never walked away like wondering why I didn't win, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Like my feedback was always really clear and concise, and the girl who won above me usually deserved it. Like I've never seen someone win and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." So I think just the aspect of actually taking what the judges say and applying that. Like I love, like I mentioned earlier, just putting my best foot forward and then
hmm.
getting the feedback to do better next time. And so, because I had that mindset, I think that's the reason why it didn't really feel like a loss every single time I lost. Because when you win, you actually don't get that much feedback. Like everyone's like you looked great, good job.
Yeah,
Like I when I won recently, I barely had any negative feedback, which is nice. Like I'm glad I won, but that negative feedback helps you a lot more than winning, actually. So just using that to grow was really helpful. And I think once I stopped, I think when I was younger, I might have, gotten a little offended when I wouldn't win, maybe just a little bit. I'd be like, well,
yeah,
you didn't like my shoes, but I loved them. But once I started actually making the small changes that judges were talking about, I started winning and I started realizing that, oh, they're not just saying this to be mean. Like, this would look better with blue shoes instead of green shoes, like little things like that. So
yeah,
I think just having the right mindset and realizing that you're asking for an opinion and it might not be the same as yours, but that's what you're signing up for. So
yeah. I totally
yeah.
am with you with that. Like nobody forced you to step on that stage. I mean, unless you're a pushy stage mom, but but for
Yeah.
most people,
Yeah.
for most girls and women who enter pageants, they enter because they want to.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to take, the criticism as well as the praise. And I think that's a good lesson for life because
Hmm.
you can't please everybody and you have to figure out what works best for you.
Well, and it's so subjective. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like gambling in a way. You
Hmm.
really never know because it's 5 to 7 different people's opinions, and maybe they like you here and they don't like you somewhere else. And a lot of it's the system too. You have to find a system that really aligns with you and what you believe in and what they believe in, and see if you're the right fit for that. And I think that's perfect. Like you find your match and you stick with it.
Yeah. And I think that is probably a big mistake I've seen girls and women do is when they're entering pageants, they don't really research the system.
Oh
They
yeah.
don't really pay attention to what the values are or what things they find most important in a title holder. And
Hmm.
then when they're in it, they don't quite understand why they get the feedback that they do. And so I think that's so important to research that system so you know exactly what you're becoming a part of.
Oh, absolutely. And that was one of the things I loved when we judged how clear and
Hmm.
concise they were about not only our guidelines, but most of the stuff that they gave us was online for the girls to find themselves. So they knew exactly what they were looking for, what we were looking for when they came on stage.
And I think, my goodness, I have to say that experience we had judging was probably the most clear in terms of what to look out for because I've
Oh,
been in
yes.
situations where here's the sheets, go for it.
Right. Yeah, and because of that, I'm usually the mean judge, actually. And it breaks my heart, but I mean, with 19 years of experience, I do get a little nitpicky. I think details win pageants, honestly, especially when it gets to
Mhm.
top five. Like, you have five amazing girls. Well, one girl has shoes that match her outfit and one girl doesn't. That extra step is going to make
Mhm.
me gravitate towards that young girl. And the fact that, yeah, Branda's had such a clear and concise rubric that there was no room to be like, well, this is just how I feel. No, this is
Right.
what the rubric says, and this is how I scored you according to that rubric. So
So, since you've judged for quite a while, and I've been doing a lot more judging myself, what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes or things to avoid if you're competing?
I think a lot of girls gravitate towards couture outfits that don't fit or don't
Hmm.
like. I think everyone goes for like I love a Sherry Hill couture, but just because someone else wore it and wanted it doesn't mean your daughter is going to wear that and win in it because it might not be the right fit for her. It might not be the right like color for her skin tone. And I think a lot of people copy dresses because
Yeah.
they win and they'll get it like made by some Chinese designer or something. When in reality, you could have pulled something off the rack, gotten it altered to you, and you could have won in that. And that's what I mean. Most of my pageant career, my dresses are either secondhand or right off the rack. Or I personally like to go back into the archives. Like I love looking on Poshmark and stuff like that. I like to get dresses from like early 2000s, stuff
Yeah.
that people aren't really wearing anymore, so it's unique. But then I customize it towards myself, and that is going to score something that fits you is
Hmm.
going to score better than something that is expensive. So I think that's one of the um mistakes that a lot of pageant parents make is just trying to get the expensive stuff because they think that's what's going to win. And I think in
Yeah.
some systems it does, but that might not be a system that you want to compete in if you have to have a couple $1,000 dress just to win.
Absolutely. And I've said this too on some feedback for some contestants where I say, well, the dress is beautiful, but it overwhelms you a bit. I'm not really seeing you in the dress.
Yeah.
And I would, I'm someone I go on Poshmark and I
Mhm.
find outfits where I end up getting altered or add some things to it. And most of my pageant career, it's been secondhand things that I've had altered for me. And I like being able to, give an outfit a new life
Oh yeah.
versus, spending, you know, few hundred up to $1,000 on something. Because number one, I don't have that kind of budget.
Yeah. That's the
And
entry
number
fee right there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
number two, I want to be, I want to be unique to me and not just
Mhm.
wearing someone's hot trend of the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there something else that you would give advice to for contestants that you would say gets overlooked?
Yeah, I would say when it comes to modeling, put the cape down. Like I hate I don't want to say hate, hate's a strong word because I think it is really cool that you can model with the cape
Right.
and spin it and but let it flow. Like it looks I think a cape looks so cool flowing behind someone who
Hmm.
is swinging their hips and swinging their arms versus holding it stiff because then it's not really like flowing in the wind. I am just not the biggest fun fashion fan anyway. Like I don't know because there's only in recent years I feel like everything is really starting to look the same with fun fashion, honestly.
Yeah.
Everything has a cape, everything has a train,
Hmm.
and it's just like you could rename the entire category to capes and trains and that would be fun fashion. So I think that's just a personal thing though, because I mean, I when I competed in Tiny Miss of America, where I won Elegant Miss of America, I did not have a cape or a train, and I did not like fun fashion was one of my lower scoring events. So I think a lot of judges unfortunately do look for that,
Hmm.
but I'm not one of those judges. I want to see you model. I don't want to see the dress being modeled. I want to see how you model, and I want to see you having fun. And I think a lot of girls could afford to have more fun on stage with facials and
Oh,
especially in the younger
yeah.
divisions. Like I want to see some sass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. Like, I want to see that personality. I want to see that
Mhm.
confidence. I want to see that sparkle. And I, I crack up when you say they should just call it capes and trains
They
because
should.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love a
It's
beautiful cake. I
fabulous.
love a
Yeah.
train, but we need to mix it up a
We
bit.
need to
It
mix it
needs,
up. I'm ready for just a new category, honestly. Like
yeah.
I just want to see something different. I don't know, like outfit of choice or so. I feel like even then everyone would still bring a cape to the party. So
So let's switch gears a little bit. So your platform is Hard Times, Real Change.
Mhm.
So tell us about what that's all about and what was the inspiration for it?
Yeah, of course. So the inspiration behind my platform, my mom actually is almost 300 days sober. With I think within the next month. I'm not 100% sure on that timeline. But the past 5 years of my life, she was in and out of prison, in and out of jail, and struggling with addiction. And
Mm,
so that was something that I never thought that I would be affected by an incarcerated parent. And her rehabilitation was something that um I mean, all of us children, I'm the oldest, so I have three younger siblings as well, and that was something that we all kind of went through with her.
mhm.
And for me, I've always struggled with my mental health as well, and journaling was an outlet for me. And then being postpartum, that came with a whole new wave of emotions that I didn't even
Yeah.
know that humans had access to, honestly. So journaling has been something where when I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to, I could write it down on a piece of paper. And so I thought to myself, there are so many inmates who are like in these four walls, either like regretting every decision they've ever made, or like my mom, she was rekindling her faith while she was in prison and trying to stay sober and like writing to her children. And
Mm,
so what I do with Hard Time Real Change is it's essentially just like a constant journal drive where I collect donations, and it's really nice around school time too because they sell those things for like 10 cents on the rack,
yeah.
and sometimes people will send them in, and I like to donate them to prisons, jails, hospitals, and psychiatric units. Right now I've only donated to pediatric psychiatric units. I haven't gotten into any adult ones yet. And I'm hoping to do a huge drop off in 2026. I've been just collecting and collecting and collecting. I'm in the middle of a huge move as well. I tried to blur my background, but I have a ton of moving boxes behind me. So I'm waiting on a bit more donations, and I'm gonna make another drop here soon. I'm also working on 501c status currently, which is a very lengthy process. And it makes me think because I remember Brandis had said something about, if these children said that they made a nonprofit, ask them about the nonprofit process because there's no way you're filling out all these government forms by yourself for real, because I'm doing it and it is a lot. There's a lot of steps to it, but it's been really rewarding to be able to give back in such a way. And I'm a little weird with my community service. I really am not a huge fan of posting about it, honestly. So I try and
Mm,
because I'm someone who did go to food pantries, and I'm someone who did benefit from, like, my house burnt down when I was younger, so I benefited
mm,
from people
wow.
donating their clothes, and I think for me, if I was in middle school at the time, so if I would have seen someone like take a picture with the donation before giving it to me, I would have been a little embarrassed about that.
Mm,
So I typically do like to donate somewhat anonymously for the most part. I like having it attached to Hard Time Real Change, but I really don't like to I don't know. I like to accept anonymous donations and just drop it off, and I don't really like to make a bunch of posts and stuff about it. And it's kind of hard because it's like, well, I want people to know that I'm serving my community, but I really don't need the recognition for it. I just want people to have these resources like these
yeah.
journals, and so I'm trying to find a good balance of like posting about it and getting enough like attention to get collections, but also trying to keep it very respectful for the people who are receiving the donations as well.
Yeah, and I think perhaps maybe for you, where you might feel more comfortable is just simply talking about your experience
Mhm.
online, and maybe it's not so much oh, look at what I just donated to.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get what you're talking about because for
Yeah.
me, that is all. I mean, I enjoy serving my community. It's something I even did a lot of before I got into pageantry, and it was a weird thing for me to say, look at all the stuff we just collected. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I think to see that impact in physical form sometimes gets people motivated as
Oh,
well. So,
absolutely. And it inspires people. And for me, I'm also in a very small town. So for me, like being able to post like, hey, you could drop off your donations here or things like that. Like I also do a clothing drive as well.
Hmm.
But that's something that's kind of just rolling. Like people reach out to me. I don't have a like brick and mortar location. People reach out to me. I have a ton of stuff. I have like baby stuff from when I was postpartum. I have stuff that people have donated. I have stuff like business professional attire that I just if you reach out, I have it, I'll give it to you and that's it. Like I don't really
Awesome.
I'm trying to set up maybe a website or something to make that process a little bit easier, but it's just something that's rolling, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for doing all that because I think for a lot of people, they are overwhelmed at the thought of trying to do something because they think, well, I'm just one person. I can't really
Oh,
do a whole lot.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then just seeing, one person, actually taking action, it can just
Mhm.
really make people understand that, yes, what you do does matter and it does make a difference for others.
Yeah, and I actually I'm just so privileged to be in a position like even sometimes because I don't live in the biggest most fancy house and I'm not rich by any means, but just being able to give back, especially when certain things were given to me, like there was this whole community of moms that I just didn't even
Mhm.
know was like a thing when I became a mom. There were so many pages like on Facebook, like community groups where it's like um give things away for free or donate things or it's like I was in a few spouse groups up in Quantico when I was a Marine spouse, and they would be like, "Hey, I have this trash bag full of 6 to 9 month clothes. Who wants it?" And so being a part of that community was really
Yeah.
inspiring because being given something, I love to use it and then give it back to somebody.
Yeah. I have found, as a military spouse with all the spouse pages, I mean, the military community, there's such a giving community.
Oh, absolutely.
People are so willing to reach out and help one another. And that's one of the things I love about being part of this community because we may not know each other, but we know each other.
Exactly. It's a shared
Yeah,
experience. Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. So with your mom, you talked about that she's almost had a year sober. That's
Mhm.
amazing. Congrats to her. Uh,
Yes.
I'm a child of an adult alcoholic. She's passed away, but
Mhm.
do you think that what your mom went through has affected you in terms of you being a mom at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really weird and now she actually lives with me. So it's a
Mhm.
really different dynamic to see her be a grandma too.
Yeah.
Because it's hard when you see your parent being the parent that you needed when you're
Hmm.
an adult. So that's something that with our relationship, thankfully it's always been in a pretty good place. I never gave up on my mom even when she gave up on herself, which she has told me that that got her through a lot of the times. But there were also times when I had to put up boundaries and not speak to her because loving someone who's in active addiction is very, very hard,
Yeah.
especially when you're their child.
Hmm.
And when she went to prison for the first time, I was 17 years old and in college. So I really didn't even know how to navigate I was like 1 foot in the door with the rest of my life and my freedom, and then another foot in the door, like, or kind of out the door with my child at home and worrying about my siblings and worrying about how everything was with that. And so being a mom now, it's really healing for me, honestly, just
Hmm.
to be able to do nothing more than love my son. Like just being
Yeah.
able to love him unconditionally. And it's challenging at times because I wonder like I think every child who's ever had a parent that struggled with addiction blames himself. In a way,
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, what could I have done?" or "Was I too much?" or "Why wasn't I enough?" Like there are always those questions, but that's something that my mom and I have worked out, and I've also worked out a lot of that in therapy as well because there is no shame in getting therapy, especially when you've had a traumatic past. And
Yeah.
so for me, just I know my worth, and knowing my worth, and knowing that my mom still loves me. She just battled this sickness for such a long time. It's really helped because I mean, especially when I was younger, um, probably the last 3 years were really the most life changing for me with, getting mental help and realizing that I don't have to carry the burdens of everyone else. I can just be myself and love myself and put up boundaries when I need to. And
Yeah.
also, like, if someone doesn't understand that, then that's on them. Like I can still have my boundaries. It doesn't matter if that's my parent, it doesn't matter if that's my sibling, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day I'm looking out for myself and that's enough.
And that is such an impactful statement, Abby, because I think for a lot of people who are children of addicts, they often feel they have to overcompensate
Mhm.
for the parent that was in this chaotic situation. And being able to heal yourself so that you can be productive for, your own children or the
Mhm.
other people in your life, that it's breaking a cycle. And I
Absolutely.
and I think that is just amazing that you realize like, hey, I can't handle all this by myself. I need the help of a professional.
Well,
So,
and that's the biggest thing
yeah.
that I think has broken the cycle is getting that mental help because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, a lot of my mom's struggles that led her to addiction was just lack of support. Like she was just
Yeah.
a mom who was overwhelmed and she turned to essentially she turned to drugs to like keep her awake, to help her get through the day, to help her like take care of her children. And it's a sad reality. I mean, a lot of people are one incident away from becoming an addict, honestly. It's one injury, it's a
Yeah.
trucker who just wants to stay awake on the road a little bit longer. So I think you really have to have that humane aspect of understanding that these people have mental health struggles first, and then the
Mhm.
substance abuse issues come in second.
Yes. So my mom, this was like during the 70s and 80s to the 90s when she was going through a struggle. She used pills a
Hmm.
lot. And it was so easy during that time because you just go to the doctor, and if the doctor gives it to you, then it must be good,
Right.
right? And she learned how to manipulate the situation so she could get more medicine, and then she started drinking like when I was well into adulthood.
Hmm.
So what I think was going on, looking back on her behavior, I think she was an undiagnosed manic depressive, and she was
Yeah.
trying to, um, self-medicate herself. And again, it's like what you said, your mom didn't have the resources that she needed, and my mom didn't realize that if she'd gone to a mental health professional, she could have possibly, being able to handle this disease easier.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, it really is just a matter of they don't care about themselves anymore, honestly.
Mhm.
Like they don't feel like their life is worth anything to anybody. So they just kind of abuse their bodies because they don't want to feel the pain anymore. And for me, oh, sorry, I have something beeping in. I hope that didn't interrupt the video.
No, we're good.
um, Liberty calls me a lot to do my financial check-in for this semester. That's exactly what it was. But yeah, for me, so my family has a very long history of mental illness. And for me, I've always had depression. I was diagnosed with depression when I was like 11 years old. And
Mm.
my mom is bipolar. And I think I might have some bipolar traits. That's not something I've gotten like an official diagnosis for. I have gotten an official diagnosis for depression. But living every day with depressive like thoughts and pushing through that, that's already something that people can't see, and it's
Mhm.
so hard. Like it's so hard to just get up. And then you have like my mom had 4 kids and she was a single mom and she had bipolar and a lot of that was untreated, so it just pushed her into, like I said, she just wanted to feel better. Like at the end of the day she didn't want to feel the way she did anymore. And so I think that once we destigmatize getting mental help, especially as a society, and
Yeah.
like it's okay, like you can call me crazy if you want, it's not my fault that my genetics predispose me to having depression, it really isn't.
You're right.
But it is my responsibility to do something about it, and that's how I feel. And I think a lot of people, something's been done to them or something traumatic or they went through something that they didn't deserve, but at the end of the day it is your responsibility, if it is something that is negatively impacting your life, to make that better for yourself, take care of yourself.
Facts. Facts.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Time always flies so quickly when I do these episodes. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about before we end here, you've talked so much about the things you've gone through in order to thrive. So, what
Mhm.
is something that makes you feel fabulous? When do you feel the most fabulous, Abby?
I definitely feel the most fabulous on stage. I have
Mhm.
a pageant addiction. Like if I could do a pageant every day of my life, I would. But also something that just makes me feel empowered and beautiful is knowing that I'm doing the best I can with my life, honestly. Like I might not have the fanciest life, or I might not do things the way that everyone else would do them, especially like I've learned that a lot with my parenting. You know, my
Yeah.
mom or my dad, like they had babies 20 years ago, and so they yell at me if my baby doesn't have socks on, little things like that. But knowing that I truly wake up every day and I just do the best that I can, and that's all that I can do. Like I go to bed proud of myself, even when I have a rough day, because I know that I'm not a bad person. I'm doing the best that I can with the tools that I've been given, and that's all anybody can do. So, and having that self-confidence in yourself, like knowing that I'm a good person. Like no one else can take that away from me is something that I carry with me. So,
Preach. I love it. Love it. Abby, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
so I believe my Instagram is just Abby Hedger. I think. I hope so. um, But my Hard Time Real Change is also an @ on Instagram, just Hard Time Real Change, just like that. My Facebook is also Abigail Hedger, and I think that is all the social media that I have off the top of my
Okay.
tongue. My maiden name was Gibson, so for some reason you cannot find Abigail Hedger, it's Abigail Gibson. But that should be all my socials.
And I will be sure to link them all too. And I thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
being
you. It's been a
here.
pleasure to catch up with you.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining us here at the Fearless and Fabulous podcast. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Send this episode to a friend if you feel that she can benefit from hearing our message today. And we'll see you again soon. Take care now.